A black nurse lost her job to help an elderly man, unaware that he was the owner of a... The private hospital lobby was unusually quiet for a Monday afternoon. Polished silver benches lined the glass-paneled walls, and the low hum of soft music drifted from overhead speakers. A few patients sat scattered, most buried in their phones or half dozing while waiting for their names to be called. Elena Brooks, a black nurse in her 30s, walked through the lobby in her scrubs, clipboard in one hand, gloves already on. She had just finished assisting with a minor procedure when she was asked to escort a new patient from the entrance. She didn't expect to find an elderly white man, alone, pale, and holding his chest like something was squeezing the life out of him. He was seated at the edge of the row, motionless, his lips slightly parted, a look of fear settling into his wrinkles. "Sir?" Elena stepped closer. "Are you all right?" The man looked at her as if unsure she was real, then leaned forward and groaned. "Elena to triage," she said into her radio instantly. "Suspected cardiac event in lobby. Need backup, now." She knelt before him, already switching to full focus. "My name is Elena. I'm a nurse. Can you hear me?" The man nodded faintly, his breathing shallow. "What's your name?" "Howard Kent," he whispered, struggling with the words. His skin was clammy, his pulse erratic. His breathing tightened with every passing second. "Sir, I need you to stay calm. I'm going to help you, but you have to trust me." From the corner of her eye, she noticed a man in a suit watching from behind the glass doors, expression unreadable. He didn't move, just stood there like a statue. Howard's hand began trembling violently. Elena slid her bag onto the floor and pulled out aspirin and a stethoscope. "Can you chew this for me?" Howard nodded again. His hand clutched his chest tighter. "I think it's my heart." "You did the right thing coming here," she said softly. "You're safe now." But as she checked his heartbeat, her expression shifted. It was dangerously unstable. Elena looked up. "Where is my triage backup?" Still no one came. She considered wheeling him to the emergency wing herself, but feared moving him might worsen things. So she stayed, right there, kneeling beside him, holding his wrist in one hand, keeping his breathing steady with the other. Minutes passed like hours. Then the call came through her earpiece. "Code Blue backup is delayed. Short-staffed due to administrative transition. Hold position." Administrative transition. Elena knew exactly what that meant. Budget cuts. The hospital had just been acquired by new ownership and had slashed half the emergency float staff that same morning. She didn't think it would cost someone their life so soon. A groan escaped Howard's lips. He was sweating, chest heaving. "I can't," he wheezed. "I can't breathe." "You're okay, Mr. Kent. Look at me." Elena stayed low, firm, grounded. "You're going to make it. I promise." Behind the glass wall, Thomas Crane, the hospital's new director, watched the entire scene unfold. He hadn't moved since it began. He hadn't called for help. He hadn't even alerted a nurse. He just stood there, arms crossed, watching. Finally, paramedics burst into the room. Elena briefed them rapidly, then helped lift the man onto a stretcher. As they wheeled him away, Howard clutched Elena's hand. "You're the only one who came," he whispered. "Thank you." She managed a smile, trying not to break. Later that evening, back in the staff locker room, Elena received a message on her phone. HR notice. Immediate termination of contract, breach of role assignment. Nurse Brooks, due to procedural overstep and unauthorized medical intervention without a supervising physician present, your contract has been terminated effective immediately. She read it 3 times. Her hands trembled. She had just saved a man's life and lost her job for it. She didn't scream, didn't cry. She just sat there, staring at her reflection in the locker mirror, unsure whether to feel angry or just exhausted. What she didn't know, couldn't have known, was that the man she saved wasn't just another patient. He was Howard Kent, the founder and owner of the very hospital chain she'd just been fired from. And he remembered her name. 3 days had passed since Elena Brooks was fired. 3 days of sitting in silence. No job, no calls, no apology. Just the same clinical words echoing from that HR email. Unauthorized intervention. Immediate termination. She had poured 10 years of her life into that hospital. Double shifts, holiday hours, holding patients' hands through their final breaths. It didn't matter. Not when someone in a suit wanted to clean house. Her savings were limited. Her pride even more so. That morning, she stared at her nursing license framed on the wall of her tiny apartment. The only reward left for doing the right thing. Until her phone rang. The voice on the line was calm, warm. "Miss Brooks, this is Catherine, personal assistant to Mr. Howard Kent. He would like to meet with you privately. Transportation will be arranged." Elena froze. "Mr. Kent?" "Yes, the man you assisted earlier this week. He asked specifically for you." An hour later, Elena stepped out of a black sedan in front of a polished glass building downtown. She'd only seen it once before on the news. Kent Medical Headquarters. Security greeted her by name. She was led through a marble hallway and up a private elevator to the top floor. The doors opened into a sunlit office where Howard Kent sat in a wheelchair near the window, dressed in a charcoal suit, a blanket folded neatly across his knees. His breathing was still labored, but his eyes were clear, focused. Beside him stood a man in a Navy suit, Thomas Crane. Elena's stomach clenched. Howard gestured for her to come closer. "Nurse Brooks?" She'd stepped forward slowly. "Mr. Kent, how are you?" He smiled faintly. "Alive, thanks to you." He turned to Thomas. "She saved my life while half your staff stood still. Then you fired her." Thomas cleared his throat. "Mr. Kent, we were in a difficult... I didn't ask for excuses." His voice sharpened. "I asked for accountability." Thomas went pale. Howard turned back to Elena. "You didn't know who I was. That's why I trust you, because you didn't help me for status or reward. You helped me because it was the right thing to do, even when it cost you everything." Elena blinked, overwhelmed. "I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I just couldn't let him suffer." Howard nodded. "Which is exactly why I'm offering you this." He slid a folder across the table. Inside was a proposal, bold and shocking. Director of Compassionate Clinical Programs, Kent Medical Group salary. More than triple her previous income budget to build a new outreach division under her leadership, full authority to rehire, reform, and recruit nurses guided by empathy, not bureaucracy. Elena stared at it, speechless. Howard added gently, "We're opening a new wing in the hospital, one that puts patients first. It will be named after the nurse who reminded me what medicine is really about." He reached over and handed her a plaque. "The Elena Brooks Center for Compassionate Care, because saving a life should never cost you yours." Tears welled in her eyes. Behind her, Thomas Crane was asked to submit his resignation immediately. Months later, the new hospital wing opened to the public. Elena stood beside Howard as children, patients, and staff cheered. News crews recorded her speech as she spoke softly but powerfully. Compassion doesn't come with a paycheck. It comes from seeing someone in pain and saying, "I won't walk away." When the cameras turned off, Howard leaned toward her and said, "I built this empire with numbers, but you gave it heart." In the hallway outside the new wing, a photo now hangs framed on the wall. It's of a young black nurse in blue scrubs kneeling beside an elderly man holding his hand, while a man in a suit watches from the distance, caught between indifference and the moment everything began to change. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.